Ever get to the end of the year and wonder what actually worked in my business? We're so good at setting goals, but not always great at pausing to actually reflect. In today's episode, I'm taking you behind the scenes of my annual business review ritual, which is the exact process that I use to figure out what's working, what's not, and how to make next year feel lighter, simpler, and more profitable. Let's jump in. Welcome to the Moms Make Money podcast. I'm your host, Jenny. I'm the owner of Moms Make Money Collective, a podcast and visibility strategist, and mom of two. Many moms feel like we need to sacrifice our careers for our children, but I wholeheartedly believe that we can have a thriving business and family at the same time. In this podcast, we're going to be diving into the ins and outs of running a business as a mom and getting real and raw about all things parenting. So buckle up because we're about to go all in. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Moms Make Money, where we talk about all things building a profitable, sustainable business in part-time hours without sacrificing your sanity or family time. I'm your host, Jenny Sunnison, podcast strategist, systems lover, and fellow mom entrepreneur navigating the wild ride of business and motherhood. And today I want to take you behind the scenes of one of my favorite end-of-year rituals, which is my annual business review. Now, before you yawn and think, Jenny, that sounds like something only big corporations do, I want you to stick with me because this process has been absolutely transformational for how I plan, grow, and make decisions in my business each year. So here's the truth. Most of us are running so fast in our businesses that we rarely pause long enough to reflect. We jump from launch to launch, client to client, or idea to idea, and before we know it, another year has passed and we're left wondering, what actually worked, what didn't, and how do I make next year feel easier, more aligned, and more profitable? That is where an annual business review comes in. This ritual is not about judgment, it's about awareness. It's your chance to really zoom out, look at the big picture, and make sure that your business is actually serving you, not the other way around. Because as moms in business, our capacity changes every single season. And if we're not regularly checking in and recalibrating, it's really easy to stay stuck in outdated systems, offers, or schedules that no longer fit our current season of life. So let's talk about what this ritual actually looks like in practice. So I typically do my business review in mid-December, right before the holiday season, but honestly, you can do it anytime. I block off a half day. Sometimes I do it at home, or sometimes I might go to a coffee shop because I feel like sometimes this helps me get into quote unquote CEO mode. And then I break it down into 5 different parts. So the 5 different parts are reflect, review, refine, reset, and reignite. Let's walk through each of those steps. So the first step is reflect. And this is where I look back on the year with honesty and grace. So I ask myself the following questions. What were my biggest wins personally and professionally? What am I most proud of? What lessons did I learn, even the hard ones? And lastly, what do I want to celebrate that maybe I haven't yet? I actually scroll through my calendar and project tracker during this step because let's be real, sometimes we tend to forget how much we've gotten done in a year. This reflection isn't just about data, it's about acknowledgement because celebration fuels momentum. The second step in the process is to review, and this is obviously going to be the more analytical side. This is where I pull up my numbers, revenue, profit, email list growth, podcast stats, client retention, all of it. And I look at the following. What offers made the most money? What took the most energy? Where did my best clients or students come from? And what marketing channels actually worked and which ones didn't? I also look at how I spend my time and which tasks truly move the needle versus drain my energy. This part is so eye-opening because it shows you where to double down and where to let go next year. Then we have the third step, which is refine. Now, since I know what worked and what didn't, I start to refine my business model. So I ask myself the following questions. Are my current offers still aligned with my long-term goals? Does my pricing reflect the value and time that I give? And is my schedule still working for me as a mom and CEO? For me, refinement often looks like simplifying, fewer offers, tighter systems, and more intentional marketing. I'll adjust or retire offers that no longer fit, streamline client processes, and make sure that my systems still support where I'm heading next. The next step is to reset. This is the clean slate phase. I like to do a digital and mental reset, organize my files, clean up my ClickUp or Airtable dashboard, and even do a mini inbox cleanse. I also take a look at my schedule and ask, how do I want my weeks to feel next year? Because the goal isn't just to do more, it's to feel better while doing it. And finally, I pick a new word or theme for the year. In 2025, my word was momentum. And let me tell you, it became my anchor every single time I was tempted to slow down or overcomplicate things. And then the last step is to reignite. And this is my favorite part. This is where we do the vision work. So once everything's reviewed and refined, this is where I reconnect with my why. I visualize what I want the next year to look like and feel like, and I ask myself questions like, how much do I want to earn? How many hours do I want to work each week? What kind of impact do I want to make? And what do I want my family life to look like alongside it all? This part isn't about hustle, it's about alignment. When you're clear on what matters most, you stop chasing shiny objects and start building sustainably. Ever since I started doing this business review ritual a few years ago, it's completely changed how I operate. Instead of reacting to opportunities or challenges, I proactively shape my year. It helps me catch patterns like when I was saying yes to too many custom client projects and burning myself out, or when I realized that my digital offers were bringing in just as much revenue with half the effort. It's about clarity, confidence, and control, all in one simple ritual. And the best part is that it doesn't take weeks of planning. It's just one intentional afternoon that can shape your entire next year. So you may be wondering, how can I do this too? So here is your action step for today. I want you to block off 2 to 3 hours before the year comes to an end for your own annual business review ritual. Grab your journal or a Google Doc, your favorite drink, and maybe even a cozy playlist. And ask yourself the following questions. What worked? What didn't? What needs to change? And what do I want next year to look like and feel like? And if you want a little help in this process, I actually have a free resource to guide you through this process. It's called the 20-Hour Workweek Blueprint. It walks you through how to structure your business sustainably in 20 hours or less per week, including a time budgeting exercise and systems audit that pairs perfectly with your year in review. You can grab it by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com/blueprint or check the link in the show notes. All right, that is it for today's episode. I hope that this inspired you to slow down, look back, and build your next year from a place of clarity, not chaos. And if you found this episode helpful, make sure to share it with a fellow mom entrepreneur who could use a little end-of-year reflection too. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into the Moms Make Money podcast. Here's to building a business that works for you, not one that burns you out. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'd love it if you would head on over to our free Facebook group called Moms Make Money Collective to connect with us further. If you're more of an Instagram fan, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Moms Make Money Collective. If you're loving the show, make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast. Your feedback means the absolute world to us. We'll see you in the next episode.